think it's here. I think it's here. Yes! Yes! Open up. Open up. Open up. Yes, yes, yes. I'm so stoked. What's up, guys? Welcome back to Part-Time Overland. Today, I am absolutely stoked. And you know why? Because I just got my new headlights in. Behind me, I have my new headlights, retrofits from BX Built. They just came in. I've been waiting for these for a couple weeks now, and they finally arrived. So let's open these up and get building. Right, let's see what we got in the box here. Paperwork. We got our projector shrouds. Oh, here it is. Meat and potatoes, ladies and gentlemen. All right, so here I have everything just laid out on this little blanket. As you can see, we have halo shrouds, projector shrouds. I think they're called projector shrouds. We got a wiring harness. We got, I think these are called ballasts, and those are gonna connect to the headlights. And we got the headlights themselves, which these look sick. These look so cool. They look super futuristic, and yeah, they're just gonna be stupid bright. And then we just got a little extra hardware. The only thing I think I'm missing is I did order halos, both front and rear. I couldn't find them in the packaging, so yeah, so I'm not really sure what's up with that. I did order both front and rear halos, and I just can't find them in the packaging whatsoever. But I'm not worried about it. I have a message into BX Built on Instagram. He's always super good at replying, has awesome, top quality customer service, so we'll figure that out as we go. But for now, well, let's go rip into the truck. First off, what the heck are retrofits or retrofit headlights? And put simply, well, it pretty much says it in the name. You're taking a headlight and retrofitting it. So you're taking a newer bulb, something newer technology, and stuffing it in an old headlight, which is, as you can see on my 4Runner, exactly what I have here and here. So why am I swapping these ones out for the new ones? Well, now that I have my headlights on, as you can see, that one is not working. This one is working just fine. So one of these is burnt out. I did have the option of replacing this, and I almost did that. But if I show you under the hood, here are the monsters that run these things. These are ballast, drivers. There's an extra thing down here. If I lighten that up, you can see that. There's just a lot of stuff going on down there with all sorts of wiring and crap, which basically led to my headlight burning out. It's very complicated. So what Andrew did is he took the concept of the retrofits, took all the problems out of the HIDs by replacing them with LEDs. Not only do they have much less wiring, I think they just have one super simple wiring harness plus two very small ballasts. They have internal LED drivers, and I think they're about twice as bright. In other words, he took a product that was already awesome and he made it about twice as awesome. Oh yeah, and I think the new LEDs are about half the price of these old HIDs. So that's the scoop on retrofits. Now that we know what we're dealing with, it's time to get building. We're gonna start out this build in the kitchen, and the reason being, in just a moment here, we're gonna bake these bad boys. Yes, you heard me right. We're gonna put these in the oven and literally bake them. Here's a closer look at what we have. Of course, we have the two headlights. These are my brand new headlights. We also have aluminum foil and a baking tray. We're just gonna line the baking tray with aluminum foil so we don't gunk up the baking tray. These headlights are almost ready to go, but there are a couple things we need to do before we put them in the oven. The first thing is we need to take off these clips, because those are going to hold it in place when we're trying to take it off. And then pretty much on the back of here, you're just going to want to remove anything that is possible to remove. Anything like these rubber hoses. You're also going to want to remove the bulb itself. Basically anything that is possible to take off, just do it. Including, if you want to, these plastic pieces. Alright, we've prepared the lights. They have everything taken off that we possibly can, including the headlights, all those little rubber pieces, all the little mounts. It's in the baking sheet, and now it's time to set the oven. I've seen people do it different ways. I'm going to set it to 275. I like to keep it on the lower end. just to be safe. And once that's ready, we'll pop these in the oven. I'm gonna set a timer for 12 minutes. Hit start. Should be good to go. There's our timer. I'm going to turn the oven off and take out these bad boys. There we go. Just pop them right on top here. So here are the headlights. They're all heated up, so be careful. Make sure to wear gloves or some sort of protection so you don't burn yourself. And what we're going to be doing is there's this adhesive all the way around the edge. And with these coming out of the oven, they're nice and toasty. All that adhesive should be very gooey. So at this point, we should be able to go around and just very careful. Be very careful with this so as not to, break the glass. But you can see right here, this is just coming loose, nice and easy. This is easy enough where I can even just do it with one hand, I think. Yeah, so you can see this is just coming right open. Careful with this adhesive not to get it all over your lens. And that's just gonna pry open, just like that. Okay, there's one. We're just gonna set that over here. Second one is done. All right, so here's a close-up of these headlights for you guys. As you can see, they're super nice and shiny.
What's up, dude? What's up? Hi.
If you like the look of the silver and you want to leave them as is, now is the time to go ahead and start installing the new retrofits. I'm personally a big fan of the blacked out look, so that's what we're gonna do on my build. If you wanna go ahead and install the headlights as is, jump ahead in the video to where I install the headlights. Otherwise, we're gonna head out to the garage and get these babies painted. We're out in the garage now. Here you can see I have my headlights, of course, and I also have some cleaning products over here. The very first step is to clean off any residue that the glue left. There's not much, but you can see on here, there's just a tiny bit on there, and just clean up all around the edges. Once we do that, the next step is going to be scuffing up this inside. So this is a very, very smooth surface, and if you're painting it, of course, you want the paint to stick to something. So we're gonna take either very fine sandpaper or some sort of scuffing brush and just prepare that for painting. And as you can see, we've gotten it cleaned up. I actually ended up going ahead, took some brake cleaner, and that took all the existing paint off. So now we're just gonna go ahead with some light sandpaper and give this a little scrub. I'm gonna try using this first. What this is it's just a sponge, but it has a very sort of rough, it's kind of like sandpaper. It's just a very rough surface on this side and meant for sort of scraping stuff off. You can also get sandpaper that's sort of in this same form that is flexible. That's what I would recommend. I just don't have any of that. So I'm gonna try this. If this doesn't work, we'll move on to some real sandpaper. All right, and that is looking awesome. Hopefully you can see that there. We've taken all the shine out of it. We're not so much trying to sand this down as in trying to get all this shiny material off. We just want to scuff the surface. You can see there it's a bit sort of fuzzy looking, just so that the paint has something to grip to. So we'll do this to the other headlight and then get painting. So behind me, I have the two headlights. As you can see, they're all masked up. Just throw some masking tape on so you don't get the glue, any paint on the glue. With that out of the way, it's time to paint. And here is the paint of choice for today. This is actually, it's a rust reformer. I was told to use it as a base layer, like a primer. I personally use this on my axle, and I was going to use a gloss coat on top, but I really like the look of this. This comes out a nice flat black. That's the look I'm going for with my headlights, so I'm just gonna put a couple coats of this on and call it good. always use protection, kids. Check it out, guys. We have finished up painting our headlights and they are looking awesome. As you can see, there's a couple tiny little dirt specks. Maybe you can see that up here. But one, the halos are going to be covering up a big portion of this, and two, once the headlights are on, the lenses are on, you really won't be able to see that. Yeah, there you can see. I think you can see that. There's like a couple little tiny specks. But I'm super happy with how they turned out. Once I took the tape off, they just look awesome. They look super clean. So with those out of the way, it's time to move on to assembling the headlights. All right, guys, so we're down on the workbench. Now to start the wiring process, we're going to be putting these shrouds over the headlights, but we also have these sweet little halos. Like I had mentioned, these were not sent in the package. BX got back to me very quickly and they sent me out the correct ones. So we have these smaller ones, which are supposed to go on the front. These are sort of the demon eyes, like that. We also have these bigger ones that actually go in the back here. They sit in the back, and there's a little bit of an opening around here, so those are going to shine through the rear. Now what I've done here is I just have a little drone battery, a little 12-volt battery, and I put some bullet connectors on here. Look at that. Do you see that, guys? That is so sick. So there's white. We connect our wire to the other terminal. Check that out. Look at that, guys. That is so freaking cool. What we're going to end up doing is we're going to connect our white. I think I'm going to connect those to maybe my fog lights. My fog lights are broken, so I think I might do my fog lights. And then with these, with the switchbacks, we're actually going to connect those to the blinkers, so that when you turn on the blinker, those are going to flash with the blinkers, and it's going to look super, super cool. Now here we have the halos and the shrouds. Unfortunately, these shrouds are not, well, they're basically not meant to work with the halos. They have places where the halos can go, but there's no really plug-and-play solution. So there's a bit of DIY-ness that you have to do to get these installed. Now, what I'm thinking of doing is, obviously this just sets in place like that, but we need to actually notch out a little slot for these wires. Now you could actually cut into this with an X-Acto knife or Dremel or something, but what I'm actually going to do is, I have my soldering iron right here. Now I don't really recommend this because this is super stinky, but it will do the job quite well. I'm just going to heat this up and melt a little channel into these halos. These halos did come with these little sticky mounts, and I don't want to rely on these completely, but I think I'm going to try to stick them around on some spots, and then I actually have plastic and emblem adhesive, and I'm going to tack on the rest of the halo with that just to make sure it's secure. Check that out. Look at that, guys. If that doesn't look cool, I don't know what does. Okay, so our front halos are in, and that was pretty straightforward. Unfortunately, these rear halos are going to be a bit more difficult to install. As you can see, there's nothing, I mean, there's no clips. These really aren't meant to work together as in a plug-and-play solution. So this is sort of floating all over the place, which means we have to figure out something, come up with a solution on how to mount this. So after doing some thinking, I think I've figured out what I'm going to do. Now, I know this isn't the best solution, but I think what I'm going to do is tack a little bit of hot glue, just little beads, to hold it in place so it doesn't wiggle around. And once it's held in place, then I'm going to take some more of our plastic adhesive and finish off the job and really put some big globs in there that'll hold it down permanently. Alright, so one halo is done, and check it out. That is so cool. Obviously the headlight's not in, the projector's not in, but that is wicked. That's just the rear halo right now. Damn, that looks so sick. So this is one done. We still need to do the other side, and then after that we can pop our projectors in, and they'll be ready to put back into the headlight housings. Okay guys, now has come time to fit the retrofits. Here we have our fully assembled headlight. Here we have our painted housing, and it's time to put this into this. The process is super simple, but there is one thing, and that is if you have halos, you're gonna have some extra wires. If I were to do this again, I would actually disassemble the LED projector and route these through along with these wires, but since it's already in the shroud, I'm not gonna mess with that. Instead, what I've done is there's this little area in the side here, and if you just clip that, there's plenty of room to route those wires. So we're going to take our rubber grommet, silicone grommet I suppose, and then route this through here, being careful not to scratch the paint ideally. Now coming to the back here, you can see our headlight is sticking out. It's time to grab your appropriately sized spacer. This kit actually comes with a couple, but we're going to use this biggest one for this headlight. Wrap that over these center wires, and that just pops right into place. There we have our fully assembled headlight. Alright folks, the time has come to rip out these old bad headlights and put in the new ones. Now, you'll notice it's a bit dark behind me, and there's a very good reason for that. Before the final assembly of the headlights takes place, we need to actually install them as is, without the glass on them. That way we can aim the headlights, we can test that the lows are working, that the highs are working, and just generally make sure everything is set before we put on the glass and lock everything in place. Now, the step may seem simple enough, but it is a bit involved. First, we're going to need to take off the grille to get access to taking off the headlights, which involves these trim pieces coming off, and maybe even the corner lights as well. I think so. Also in here, we have the drivers, we have the ballast, all that jumble of wiring, and over here, just to get access to that, we're actually going to need to take out the air box. So, it's going to take a little bit of time, so let's quit the yapping and get her done. Well, now that the old stuff is out, we have this new clean wiring harness, so it's time to start installing this and see where everything mounts up. Hopefully you can see this is a much cleaner setup. Here we have our positive. This is going down here, right in there. Try to lighten this up a bit. That's the module that controls the high and low beams, and that's just actually Velcro strapped onto that little box right there. Then you can see here we have our ballast, which is super tiny, and that's really all that's going on there. On the other side, I still have my air box out so you can actually see this better. Again, here is the ballast. It's just super tiny right there, and just goes to the headlight, and I still have to connect all these up. So let's do that and test it all out. Alright, well, moment of truth guys. I'm a little nervous, but I'm super excited. They're looking great so far. I'm gonna go inside the car now, stick the key in, and turn on the lights, and, well, see if they actually turn on. Here we go. Car's on, and headlights. Oh my god! Those are so bright. Wow. Okay, I need to adjust these camera settings like major big time. Okay. That's a bit better for you. Oh my god, these are insane. Wow. Okay, time to test out the brights. No way. Dude, these are mad. All right, guys, so enough talking and excitement. I'm super stoked. I mean, hopefully you can see on the camera, these are insane. They're so bright, just a perfect shade of white. Anyway, what we need to do now, we're gonna back the 4Runner out of the garage, and now is the time when we need to adjust the beam, make sure they're level, and all that stuff. So let's back this sucker out. So hopefully you can see this a little bit. It's probably hard with the camera exposure, but the two lenses are sort of angled down into each other. While I have this out here, I'm gonna do two things. And the first is obviously level them, which is pretty much as simple as going like this. And just getting the angle straight so they are flat across with each other. Now thing number two is I just went out to the street and just looked at their, their angle where they're pointed, and they're way, way high. So I know I'm gonna need to angle them down a little bit. Right now I'm just gonna sort of do it roughly, but I'm gonna do that and sort of get them adjusted, and then we'll go from there. That's looking pretty sweet. At this point, we can go ahead and shut these off, take them back out, and get them ready to put it back in the oven and put the glass back on. We are back at the oven right now. Oven is preheating, and I have my lights all ready to go back up, ready to seal the lenses on, and then we'll be ready to go back into the car. At this point, these should almost be perfectly seated, and hopefully you can see that there's really not much of a gap there, so they're almost perfect as is. I'm just gonna double check, go around and squeeze on all sides just to make sure they're totally seated. And then we'll put on the little clips on the outside to hold everything in place, and we should be good to go. All right guys, so the headlights are wrapped up. Obviously we're out here at the truck, and it's time for the final reassembly. So I'm gonna get my headlights, got my corner lights, all the little nuts and bolts, and get this baby button back up. So we wrapped up the project. The headlights are in, and they look amazing. I'm super stoked about how they look. The white halos I ended up routing to the fog lights, and then the blinkers, I actually routed the blinkers to this. Look at that, that's so cool. It's so sick. So I routed the wiring. Of course they're still attached to the regular blinkers as well, but I also routed them up to here, and just on the switchbacks. And I think that adds a super cool touch. I still haven't mounted up the rear halos. I'm still waiting for some switches to come in, but I'm stoked on how these look already. So there we go. I just want to mention something quickly, which is that if you plan on routing these to the fog lights like I did, there's a bit of a trick to getting these to actually work. As you can see, the headlights are not on right now, and there's a modification you can do so you can turn on the fog lights at any time without the headlights, but it's a bit of a pain in the ass. I'm not gonna go over that whole process in this video just because this video is already very long, but it was a bit of a difficult modification. I spent a couple hours yesterday just frying my brain trying to figure out how to actually get that to work. Basically what it is it allows your fogs to turn on without your headlights being on, which for these halos was kind of a must-have. Otherwise they would be kind of pointless. So if you want to see how that's done, check out the channel. I'll also link that down in the description once that video is uploaded, and I'll go into detail about how to do that. And with that, I think that brings this video to a close. I'm super happy with how this turned out. Appreciate you guys for sticking along, whether it helps you out, you're trying to build your own, or whether you just like to come along for the ride and you think this stuff is cool. So thank you very much for watching. As always, if you have any new video ideas or questions about your rig or how to do something or whatever it is, go write a comment down in the comment section below. Make sure to give us a big thumbs up. Make sure to subscribe and hit that bell icon so you get notified when we upload. Just, you know the drill. Just do all the YouTube things. So, again, really appreciate the support. Thanks for stopping by. And as always, I'm Carter. I will see you in the next one. Peace out, guys.